This is our interview with Ross. It was great to meet
Felt,
him again for the first time.
it felt weirdly familiar to meet him again for the very first time. Yeah.
But it was great to find out about this demo and the fact that it's kind of a way around that sticky, nasty legal thing with the album label that doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
But anyway, we'll get into all of that. Had a great time. Hopefully, we will see him at MDF.
Take it away.
Are those like the kitty cats on there?
Yes, they are.
Are we going in a new direction with the band I'm not aware of? I mean, it's okay. We can go kitties. It sounds big on the internet these days. Yes.
Well, this was great. Thank you so much. I appreciate
It
you
was
taking time out.
terrible. Fuck
All right.
you.
All right. So it was
I'm
terrible.
miserable.
Thank you for
we are
wasting.
misery.
I'm glad we wasted each other's time. This is just
Yes.
the best.
Pleasure.
You
Cheers.
want to start off with
I don't know if you remember us.
I do.
this
I
day?
don't. I don't remember you. I don't remember.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
Right.
made it here for the very first time.
I've never seen these kitty cats before in my life. Right? Yeah.
Never. I have no idea. No, I think I saw an interview you all did.
Ah, okay.
I
Yeah.
can't recall seeing.
It's well publicized. Yeah.
Same PR firm.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, at least we
Nice
actually.
to meet you, Mark and Stacy.
Yes. For the first time.
First time ever.
First
For the
time
first time
ever.
ever. Yeah.
The first time again. Okay.
That's a lot of records.
Oh yeah. That's about. It goes much further.
Yeah. Is that your collection or are they impaled records or?
Oh God, no, we got Impaled. We have so few records. How can we have this many records?
I didn't know if this was your like Bandcamp selling
Laziest-
station or something.
The laziest band in death metal. Let's see. This is a good one. The Lost in Space
Oh
soundtrack
wow, look at that.
collection. Let's see what else have we got here. Oh, this should be in everybody's record collection. Sports. That's a good one. That's just under the L's.
That's great.
The Lord of the Ring. Where was the one I really wanted to show off? Oh no, I got to reach towards T. I don't think I can do it. Wait, here it is. There it is. Transformers the movie
Oh,
soundtrack.
look at that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been spinning this exact copy since 1986 when the fucking movie came out.
Nice. Nice.
So,
Very
My
cool.
original
Very
childhood
cool.
copy, still in pretty good playable condition.
So I was intrigued when I was reading who came up originally with the impaled as the backronym, immoral medical practitioners and licentious evildoers. Was that a serious idea or just some delightfully gross gallows humor?
That was True Confessions. I think I made that up during an interview. It's just like they're like, yeah. So you're named Impaled, and I was just like, yeah, it's an acronym. It means moral medical practitioners, and I made that
That's
shit
pretty,
up. It was
pretty fast thinking on your feet.
No,
That's
that
pretty
was.
good.
I believe the band name was Sean. Sean came up with the band name. I think he's got a whole like binder paper where he was like he wanted to do another project after his other band. Oh, what were their name? I'm gonna forget their name, but he had a band he didn't like, and then he had started jamming with the guys. One of the guitar player from the band Infanticide, which was a short-lived band that Leon was also in, and then Leon came and joined with them. It gets confusing because I wasn't there. They found Raoul in a dumpster out back behind a rehearsal space. That's how he joined the band.
Okay.
And so they had a big list of names, and Impaled became the name. And then sometime later, probably after the first record, I think I was doing an interview and I just made that shit up, but it stuck, and it works really well.
She asked me, what interviews we have this week, and I had a few of these, and I'm like, Impaled, Deceased, Defleshed, and I started to think, wow, a lot of these bands have very similar names.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a past tense verb.
Yeah, exactly.
Past tense brutal verb. That's how you know it's death metal. If you're going to be more complicated, it's going to be now I'm forgetting my grammar terms, but it's going to have TION at the name.
Oh, yeah,
That's how you
right.
know
It's Sean.
that's how you know there's
Yeah.
gonna that's how you know you're gonna have some more skill set. And then if you're gonna be thrash metal, you wanna be an active verb, or you're a noun who performs an active verb. So like a thrasher, you know, you're gonna be a hacker or slasher or something.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna be thrash metal. For Impaled, it was just I was just thinking about that whole acronym thing, making up acronyms after the fact. That just sounds about as smart as our U.S. government right now. So
When we interviewed John from Incantation, he laid it out there. He said, no, New York owns all the TIONs. It's Suffocation, us, you know. He was like, and I said, well, what about Dissection? And he goes, oh, that's just them ripping us off, you know.
Dissection's an outlier, I guess. Although that dissection is yeah, no, that I mean it fits. Maybe it's
just a little gory, but they're black metal. I don't know. Yeah, they're just ripping them off.
They're ripping them off.
It is largely an East Coast thing, and then I don't know. I guess at least in the Bay Area, we have Exhumed and Impaled, so we kind of took all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have to add a tomb or then it's definitely some kind of like doomy.
yeah. If you're writing Tomb or Mold, you're a smart young band on a cool indie label, and you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Great tours right now. So
One of these
I think we're
20
gonna
bucks
change
spin
it.
bands.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
called
Impaled Tomb of Impaled Mold, and we're gonna like get on out there.
It's gonna be sick, and we're gonna be on 20 bucks spin, and it's gonna
Yeah.
kick ass.
And Lace sends some Tangerine Dream because you got to do that now, right?
Yeah, blood Impaled Mold. That's what maybe I'll go.
There you go. Yeah. You'll be with it. Totally. Yeah.
So I really like the whole idea of being like centered around like grotesque medical disasters. Was it inspired by any real life experiences or maybe a specific horror movie? It actually reminded me of that case of I don't know, you could do a whole album on this. His name was Pablo Mazziarani, and he was like, they did a whole documentary. He was a bad surgeon. He told all these people who had like horrible problems with their tracheotomy that he could make a plastic one and that he could put it in their bodies and that it would work. And all of his patients died like a couple weeks after he did it.
I'm not aware of this one. I've read a lot of books about malpractice. I think that it does kind of come from, you know, well, one, it shouldn't ever dismissing the influence Carcass
had with like the medical style lyrics, right? So getting into that stuff, never like I love all horror movies, but like in terms of my
main fascination, it's going to be more real grounded stuff as opposed to the supernatural, because
I don't believe in that, but I do believe that doctors can do bad things, and there's plenty of books out there where you can read about those things. Books about malpractice and you know, quackery. I mean, that's like one of my favorite things too, is not even the evil doctors, but the stupid doctors,
which I think Impaled, at least
Death After Life, is basically about 4 stupid doctors who think they can do something and miserably fail.
And that kind of stuff that, like, you know,
it's actually kind of scary because you are putting your life in the hands of these kinds of people, and so that's like a kind of a real horror that I feel is a lot more relatable than even like serial killer drama or stuff like that. Like everybody has to go to the doctor, and everybody's had a bad experience with the doctor. I certainly have. Luckily I play in a band like Impaled, and I was getting bad health care, and I had to yell at the doctor and tell him what he had in his goddamn medical cabinet to help me when I got my nose broken, because the guy was fucking clueless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to tell him about giving me a local anesthetic. I had to tell him, like, and then he pricked his finger, and I had to sit around and wait for a bunch of blood tests to make sure that he didn't like get a weird disease from me. The most inept people sometimes, but we rely on them. I mean, it's amazing. We have this advanced medicine, but it's all reliant on a human who's completely fallible, and most people are stupid, even if they're educated. You know, even if they're schooled, they're just dumb, and they don't have any kind of. So yes, the medical thing is something that's like kind of relatable, and then also like I look pretty hot in a surgical gown, so that goes with it too. You know.
Plus, there's the whole cocaine thing where you're just like, you know, is it required for them to be on so much cocaine to even get through the surgery? You know.
I mean, I wish they would just bring that and give it
Back to the patients again. That was a good time. I want to get back to elixirs. Let's get back to the cocaine elixirs, and and like
robo our way out of pain. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm such a coward when I have to get any kind of surgery. I'm just like, look, I won't say anything about the cocaine if you just knock my ass out for the procedure. I don't want to feel a thing. That's our pact. Okay.
Yeah, I'm never really that
scared. I've had to go in for a couple of procedures. I've had a hernia, and I've gone in for my colonoscopy because that's what we do. We're responsible at this age. And I've never been like worried about it. I'm just like looking forward to that waking up from anesthetic when you're so fucking high and you want to watch The Dark Crystal like 8 times over.
Because you're in such a zone.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part of
surgery. Like just waking up and just being like, man, this is great. Keep giving me that Dilaudid. Let's go for it. This is awesome.
I say, I think my ass is totally hanging out of this gown. Wow.
I got a nice picture of that after my first colonoscopy. I was like,
take a picture of my butt. It's hanging out. I don't remember taking the picture.
Right. And that's when your loved ones can remind you. They can say, you didn't care at all that your ass was hanging out. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally I don't. So it could be
even sober. Yeah, who cares?
In mixed company, it could become a problem.
I'll never forget waking up from my colonoscopy, and I think he thought I was still out of it more than I was, but he told me my colon was amazing. I was like, can I put that on a resume? I don't know what to say right now.
That's really nice. I think I woke up and I kept
apologizing. I kept insisting that I had farted a bunch, and I was apologizing over and over in case I had.
So I've always loved your evocative covers, and this one's no sleeper either. It kind of looks like an autopsy gone amok, but what was kind of the inspiration for it?
Was there an inspiration for it? I think the main thing was I had seen we liked with Impaled. I did art and when I was doing artwork for Exhumed before I got kicked out, I always like to
kind of like focus in on something and then like leave the story on the outside. So like always kind of close up. You don't see the whole picture. It's not like a mortician cover where you get the house in the background and the guy with the chainsaw over here and the victim over
here.
How
great are those? Yeah.
It's like, but ours are like, we're going to center in on something and you're going to fill in the gap. So is it an autopsy? Is it a torture scene? Is it just the dentist that's gone awry? Like, you're not really sure, but I think that one was my idea. And I think the inspiration was just seeing the dental speculum somewhere had looked so wicked to me. So I had to go to a lot of interesting sex shops in San Francisco till I found it was I had to get the dental speculum. It was right next to like the urethral sounding rods and the nut crushers.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And so I picked that up and I made, shopped around
for a little bit more. But I thought that looked really cool in a photo. And then just kind of something gruesome and up close, and that
I think it's kind of like
evocative and inspired by like
or Autopsies, the second cover for Severed
Survival, with the doctors coming in, but this is like the other view. And it was just kind of a gruesome, cool looking horror movie, like a clip from a horror movie, which is like kind of what we did throughout the whole record. We stopped sampling movies and TV shows, and it was kind of like, hey, we're just kind of like writing our own tiny little narratives and movies here. So let's record our own little intro samples that's like kind of from a movie or something. And so it was just kind of that to like build on like the whole creative process and like the kind of we were creating themed around our look and what we were doing.
What are your own like album covers that you've seen where you've been like, I wish I would have thought of that? That's so awesome. Like, what are your favorite, I guess, death metal album covers?
Covers. The thing that when you say like, I wish I'd thought of that, the first thing that comes to mind is, do you know Cartilage? They're also from the Bay Area. Great death metal band.
I don't think I do. No, I don't think I do.
Well, you need to go check out their music videos. They asked me and
Sean from Impaled to be in it. And I was like, oh, well, what's the idea? They're like, we're doing forensic files. And I was like, you motherfuckers, that is such a good idea. So they do this whole forensic files bit. I play a wacky lab guy that's like trying, and the music's playing, and Sean is like, he's like this police chief who's like guiding them through the wilderness to show them the crime scene, and they have like
right.
the real crime and then the reenactment of the crime, and it's one of the most brilliant fucking videos in all of death metal, and more people should check it out because they're
We will
killer
check that
gnarly.
out.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
killer gnarly gore metal, and they are funny as fuck. So
Yeah.
like I could definitely
That's great.
appreciate the tongue-in-cheek humor.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
Have
cool.
you ever gotten like, and you know, this kind of, I always love to get a hater, but someone who sent you like a crazy email or over the top reaction to one of your album covers?
Well, we definitely had the Choice Cuts.
EP cover that was the EP that came out after Dead Shall Dead Remain. We had several reviewers who said like this is garbage. I'm not reviewing this. This isn't what metal's about. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It is for me. Like I like gory metal and I like horror movies. Like I think they go hand in hand. Sure, that doesn't have to be all it's about, but I think it's
Right.
it's right in there with like from the earliest days of death, right? There is scream bloody what?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So it was kind of ridiculous to me, and several people wrote and were upset about that.
Several I don't remember the specific magazines, but they
Right.
were upset about the cover, and even getting it pressed had been a problem. Like the initial CD pressing plant refused to do it, so the label had to go hunting for someone that was where they just didn't give a fuck about a clearly toy doll. Like it's
So you can see the seams. Like
in retrospect, I think I would have cleaned it up a little better to make it a little grosser. But I think it was that same photo.
I took it in to get redone for T-shirts, and whenever I took these photos for these covers
and shit like that, back in the day when we used film,
so it was a lot more interesting. You have to take in this gory set of photos into Walgreens
and have it go by the photo lab guy. Which is interesting, right? So they're going to see everything that you do. So at the end of every roll, I'd have a couple photos, and actually one of them is in the Demo Medicale one. You can see a photo of us at the end of the album cover photo shoot where we're all hanging out, and you can see everybody's okay and we're laughing, right? Well, Choice Cuts, I did the same thing, of course, and then
except for they cut the photo strips
down.
So I'm trying to explain how photo processing used to work. You'd send it in this negative roll, and then they'd give you it back in like four
negative increments. So I had to take this photo back in of this, dead or just being born baby with a hacksaw to its throat being served on a salad platter.
Yeah.
And got that printed, and I was sitting there like, why is this guy being so cagey with me? While I just want this this couple like photos. And he's like looking at a note on the thing, and he doesn't really understand. And so he just like sets it down on the counter and goes and grabs the phone. He goes, manager to the photo area right now. And I just said, oh shit. And I had my $10 ready to pay for the photo processing. I threw the $10 at him, grabbed the photos, and ran out the fucking Walgreens, and never went back to that one ever again.
Oh, that's a great story.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I remember when you used to it used to flip in the mall, and like your pictures would for a second be like on the front of like the outside mall display for everybody to see.
Yeah, no, well, luckily that never happened. That part never happened to me. So it was a lot easier
when I was in the I think I was the Dead Shall Dead Remain. I was actually in college, and we had an amazing photo lab there. So I was actually processing all those photos myself. So I didn't have to worry about it as much then. But later, once I graduated, I didn't have access to all that. So I had to rely on the discretion of a minimum wage employee at Walgreens.
God.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, all right, so when Andrew reached out back in 2022 with his lost demos, what was your reaction? You hadn't heard him in so long. I mean, what was that like?
My reaction was what demos? That was my reaction. Like it had been so long.
I don't think any of us actually remembered them, that they even existed. And which was weird because I'm usually pretty good about that stuff. I've got old CDRs of rehearsal recordings and all this stuff, but that one I didn't have, and Sean didn't have it, and Raul didn't have it. So Sean went and picked it up, and he's like
put it in his car
because he's an old guy with an actual CD player in his car, and texted me. He's like, I'm gonna rip this immediately and send it to you. This is kind of amazing. This actually sounds
good, just almost as good as a record.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that we actually
we played that decently for what it was, a demo. And he sent it to me and I was like, holy fuck. And a bunch of things went through my mind really quickly. It was like, wow, that was really nice of Andrew to do that. And two, like, well, fuck you, Necropolis. We have something we can put out with this record.
Right. Yeah.
And it was kind of strange because Andrew was
very sick from complications from ALS and passed away like shortly thereafter. And, we hadn't actually heard from him in a long time. And so we got this CD. We're like, cool. And then he passed, then he passed away. And we're like, wow, okay, this is really strange. This is like legacy shit now.
Yeah.
We made sure we had this. Sean didn't actually get to see him. He met with his wife, and who said he wasn't feeling well. And we knew he had ALS, but just didn't know how to progress so far. But Andrew, I think, did, and made sure that we had that in hand, passing out like the final things for people to have, I guess. And so, like, wow, well, that's really like kind of a legacy moment. That's his legacy, that he was a part of that, was such an instrumental part in what Impaled became from the from the first record to as we matured to the second record. It kind of really found our sound, our vibe, and he was a huge part of that. And this demo was the first real inkling we had that we were going to be doing something that we were really proud of. We're like, wow, okay, we like these songs. Andrew's a killer engineer and mixer. Like, he's going to do the record. And that's all where that started to really cement. So, and now everybody can hear what we heard right before going into record Mondo Medicale. And we were pretty pumped and ready to try to take on the world with it.
It kind of blew the bell curve for me, because my opinion has always been, I said this in the review, there's no outtakes from Sepultura Beneath the Remains. They don't exist. The good albums, they don't have any bonus footage. There is no extra like bonus Back in Black songs. There's just not, And then I heard this and I was like, fuck, well, all right, it's just like the Pentagram thing. They found the fucking demos, it's awesome, like I got to change my status, like.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't think before or after I ever put
that much work into something like that. And there was like it was a big reminder to me, we're talking, what did we do with this shit like 23 years ago? It was a big reminder to me, like, how much thought we were really trying to put into that. And I think we always tried to do that with all of our stuff. We were always very into DIY art and stuff, but I don't think some of that is just like experience gone, right?
Yeah.
And then this was like this reminder that was like, wow, like what a cool group of musicians and friends I get to work with, that we're like kind of put in the hard work to make sure that we're going to do things the way we want them to sound and be.
Yeah.
And put in the extra work beforehand. So it was nice to kind of have evidence of that and be surprised by it. It was
yeah. You're like, we weren't really idiots back then. We actually knew what the hell we were doing, Like,
we actually were. Well, we were idiots. That's why we were like, that's why we were dotting our I's and crossing our T's by making a bunch of pre-recordings to make sure we didn't fuck anything up.
So I guess there's never going to be any resolve with the label who is holding everything hostage, even though they don't exist anymore.
We'll see. Maybe he'll stop caring now. I don't know. Paul, if you're out there, just fucking give us the fucking record.
We're not going to make a ton of money on it, man. Nobody's making money. It's all like, there's some spite, acrimony. There's been talks, and then they've fallen apart, and I'd love to see them go better at some point.
Did they ever figure out that final track was a big FU to them, and they went over their head?
That's part of the reason. That's part of it.
So they did.
There was already a lot of a lot of bad things going on, but yeah, we definitely
fired some shots across the bow ourselves.
Yeah.
We're to blame, and I won't say I would do anything different, but I can say I probably wouldn't do something like that now.
Right.
And
if I gotta apologize for it, I'll apologize for it.
I don't give a fuck. For me, this is at least a stopgap measure for Impaled fans to have something that's like Mondo Medicale in their record collection. That sounds good. It's pressed. It's on a good sounding vinyl. The recording sounds good. The cover, we tried to delineate it a bit because we're not just trying to like re-record or re-release the record in any other way than if we could just put out the original. So
this was like a fun release to put out and a really interesting thing that surprised
all of us. So I hope everyone else enjoys it too.
Is this part of why the original's not on Spotify?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's
everyone, so we can
only
all not get paid together. That's
exactly
right.
That's my
Thing. I'm like, hey, bud,
we're not making any money. That means you're not making any money either. I'd love to have a mutually beneficial agreement. It would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the meantime, we put this out, so go pick it up. Yay!
Yeah.
Great looking vinyl too.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Tank Crimes always does such a good job.
Yeah, we had Scotty Karate on the show. We interviewed him. He was fascinating. Yeah,
He
the
is.
whole story about like building his empire through weed. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely had a lot going on with that. He also built his empire through positive
vibes and being a good
fun person to work with.
Yeah. It
Could
comes
definitely
through.
not ask for anybody like cooler to work
with
with.
who's just like fun and excited about the material. Of course, he's not a label. Of course, he's trying to make a living, but he is dedicated himself to not putting out anything he doesn't like, and he doesn't work with people he doesn't know and is friendly with, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when you're lucky enough like us to like work with Tank Crimes, and I've worked with Tank Crimes on several projects, you really are part of more of like a family. And it's like the other bands on Tank Crimes, like you're cool with them, like and like it's good.
Right.
Scotty has like corralled quite a cool world around him.
Yeah.
And we're just lucky that he was the one.
He wanted to do this one too.
Yeah, it's a great story. A little different label
Yeah, definitely.
experience. Just a little.
Yeah, very different. Like a good label experience. That's a big difference.
Totally. Yeah.
So when you heard these demos, did it take you back? And can you recall any studio mishaps or magic moments, or are you just completely in the ether?
Oh, it's so gone. It's so in the
ether. But I mean, I remember more like the calculating moments, like staying up, like, drinking Budweiser 40s and like throwing ideas back and forth and coming up with these scripts for the record, like the samples, and talking about how we wanted the songs to go this way and that. And I mean, there really was a lot of like, I mean, we were partying hard. We were, in our peak in our 20s for partying.
Yeah.
But like a lot of our partying would just be like late night sessions, like discussing like how funny would this pun be, and like let's like going over the lyrics over and over again. And there was a lot of sessions. I mean, I had the songs I wrote, like Andrew really helped. Like I'm the world's okayest bass player, but I am not a great musician by any stretch. But I have some like song ideas, and Andrew really helped me hone those in. And we'd sit around the jam spot for like hours, like kind of like retooling riffs and doing that kind of shit together. And the working method in today's world is a little different. I live far, like I'm exhumed, and we all live on different parts of the country. It's a collaborative effort, but there's not that like late night, 4 nights a week of practice, staying up late, trying to hone that shit in together. And maybe we're more capable to do this long distancing because we're all a bit older and more seasoned and professional. But certainly like this this demo record is like, it definitely makes me a bit wistful for those times where it was like really just a band in a room, like for days and days and on end, like just really working on the material together. And the kind of camaraderie I have with that, like those Raul and Sean are gonna be my family till I die. So, that kind of shit's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we've interviewed a couple bands, thrash bands from Chile. It's still like that down there. Like that's where you got to go if you want it to be like it used to be. Like we suggested to them,
this country, Chile might be a good alternative
for what's going on here right now. So
you got to defect. That's what it is. Yeah,
they already had a
horrible fascist dictator. So like they're good.
Right, like we were telling them about like bands like Sleep Token and that you have to have like an image and stuff, and they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like just with bullet belts, like they didn't.
And high top.
It was like 1987 there, like, and this was like last year. So I down there, it's still the way it used to be. Yeah.
I did get to play
2 shows in Chile with Exhumed, and I enjoyed them immensely. And the people down there are amazing. And I definitely think there definitely is a spirit of original metal that stays alive down there. That that is pretty uniquely what they've been able to. The spirit that they have for it is like pretty awesome.
We had Matt on the show. Did he tell you about when he got thrown in Mexican prison for his bullet belt?
I was there.
Oh, you were there. Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like my.
This caliber is not allowed in our country. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the show where I
was sort of just doing a couple shows with them. I wasn't going to rejoin. That wasn't in the plan. He was like, I'd done a couple shows for the Gore Metal Redux, and he had said, well, do you want to go to like our other bass player still kind of wants to quit. Like, do you want to just do this like Guadalajara shit with us? I was like, fuck yeah, I do. I love playing Mexico. And it's like Judas Priest is playing and Carcass is. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, of course I want to play this. I'm like, all right, I'll swallow my pride. I'll learn some more of your guys' songs. Like
I'll do it. And then we get there and Matt's arrested, and I'm like, the other guy's like, we got to cancel. I was like, you can't cancel. Like, you just don't cancel down here. If there's enough people to play the songs, you just do it, and the crowd will be there for you. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So you'll announce the songs and talk to the crowd. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? I got kicked out of this band 15 fucking years ago. Like, I'm going to be announcing the songs now because Matt got arrested. So that's what we did. It was me and Bud Berger on guitar at the time and Mike on drums. And we went up there, and it's exactly what I did. I said fuck in between every other word, just like Matt usually does. And just kind of did it like that.
That's great. So now we have both sides of the story. That's just great. Yeah.
I thought it was gut wrenching, but at the same time, there was a part of me that got kicked out 15 years ago that was like, it's like, now I'm the leader of the band.
That's right. Yeah. Your inner Jason Newsted had found salvation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For 1 minute, I got a bit of pleasure out of it.
And then the rest of it was completely nerve-wracking and horrible.
God. I like how you go old school on like the lyric and liner notes where the solos have like names like Dead Man Walking and this and that.
Whose idea was that?
That's neat.
I was reading it and I'm like, what is this?
Sure, I'm pretty sure that was Jeff Walker's idea.
Okay.
Like that was
we're just gonna give full credit to Jeff Walker for that, because I always thought that was so cool in Carcass lyrics that like they were like, wow, they didn't just keep the wordplay to the lyrics, like they really thought this through, and they're
going the extra mile with like I want to read these liner notes. I want to read like all the lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's definitely just straight Carcass. Like, we're just lifting. Like, that's it.
Thank you, Jeff. You sweet old curmudgeonly
man. I love you.
I love the Doctor is insane.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, I love how the album has done, it's become a death metal classic, because I was around when it came out and everybody was like, and I'm sure you heard this, Carcass ripoff, and I thought, oh, give me a break. I mean, come on, this is a great fucking album. What are you talking about? But yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get that kind of accusation because mostly the lyrical content.
Definitely some of the music obviously is going to be like, but there's also like, there's nobody ever says like Dismember ripoff, and it's like there's whole Dismember riffs in our fucking songs, or like At the Gates or anything. Like, they're like, our influences are wide and varied. Carcass is certainly a huge visual, lyrical influence and musical influence, but I'd say musically
there's a lot more ingredients in there than just Carcass.
Right.
And I think that's like like there's a lot of bands I see that it's, if you're gory and you kind of have like the same kind of, and Jeff gets
full credit. Nobody else was doing shit like that before. With a kind of like really medical textbook lyrics.
Right. The medical journals.
Yeah,
right.
You could be playing, I mean, I think like Cattle Decapitation was called a Carcass ripoff at some point, and they sound fucking nothing like that.
Yeah.
They just have gory covers and gory lyrics. They don't sound anything like Carcass. So like, that just goes like, it's fine. I don't mind if you're going to compare me to a great band that put out a seminal record. Hell yeah, sure, great.
Yeah,
Let's go
exactly.
for it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like something about Carcass that most people don't bring up is that those first four records are completely different. Like, and there's not that many bands that ever did that. You know, I mean, I love Swan Song, and people are like, "Oh, fuck that record," and I'm like, you know, they're all great. And when they came back, they kind of gave the people what they wanted. Like, I was hoping they were going to do like Frank Zappa covers or something. You know what I mean? But
Did you check out Jeff Walker's Carcass Country?
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, that was yeah. But that was sort of a sideline. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
There's a, even though with like,
yeah, I mean, I think even with like Surgical Steel and stuff, though, I think there's still enough like, yeah, they kind of went back to give a little bit more of that Symphonies of
sickness necroticism kind of style, but like I still think you can hear some of the more like rock Bill Steer rock influence in
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
songs. Like
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Yeah.
So yeah, God bless them. They're still
out there doing it and kicking ass,
Yeah.
so it's great.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Raise the Stakes was written since it wasn't on this original?
I do recall Raise the Stakes. Andrew brought that to practice in between
Between the demo and the recording, and we were like, that's got to be on this fucking album. It's like, it's kind of like, I hear this old story about like Kurt, Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana, and they're like, yeah, we kind of like, we weren't sure about that song, but then when like Kurt put the vocals down, we knew it was going to be like, that's the single. Like we just knew this was going to be the song. And I think when we all heard the raise the stakes, the music, we're like, that's on the record. I poured my heart into those lyrics, like trying to make like the most epic fucking content I could in terms of like not just a gore thing, but like this is our group. It's almost like a old hip hop song where it's just like talking about how badass we are, like as a group of like four killers out like taking over the world. So yeah, I was like, I really, and like the title I felt was like very, very apt. Like I had come up with it, I thought, put it in the back burner, waiting for the right song, and I was like, no, this song really does like bring us
Yeah.
up. And so I do recall that being brought to the group, and we're like, this song's fucking great. This is definitely going on the record. And so
Awesome.
it does not appear on the
Demo, but we were just like, nope, we got to learn this one. We got to put this on this has got to go on there. This song's too good.
So what was the part that led you to take Choice Cuts and Gross Anatomy and kind of move them over to an EP, as opposed to?
Well, we had
Renegotiated our contract with Necropolis
Mm.
Records, and we had originally been had a contract for 3 albums, and we started raising a stink because 1, our contract was fucking garbage, and then 2, we were like, we kind of like, we got to get out of here. We kind of see this thing, the ship is sinking, and so we said, let's renegotiate. We're going to give you a great record, but like we kind of want out, and so the renegotiation included 1 album and 1 EP, as opposed to like 3 and 2 more full albums. The right to refusal, we're like, no, we're out. Like, there's no right to refusal. Like, we want to be out. So we did negotiate that, and it was just a matter of which songs go on the EP and which songs go on the record. It wasn't about like quality of the songs or anything, or like trying to shove things off. I think it was more about like, okay, well, these kind of all jam together in a certain way, and these other songs, they're good, but they kind of stand on their own as like just a couple different tracks. And so we just decided, like, you got to have a record, it's got to be a certain length. So we're like, okay, well, these two kind of stand on their own, and maybe can't find a place where we think they flow in terms of when you used to actually think about how does an album flow from beginning to end, as opposed to song, is your single good? So it just kind of got moved, and there was thought put into it, but I don't think it wasn't like we're like the trash goes over on the EP. It was like, no, we like these songs. We're recording these songs. We just think they'll fit fine over here.
That's good.
So hypothetically speaking, if you were also a member of Ghoul, which is ridiculous to say, which project between Impaled and Ghoul would take up more of your time? I mean,
if I was hypothetically in a band like Ghoul and in Impaled, I bet Ghoul
would take up a lot more time.
I had a feeling, because there's a whole story there, and
I would say Impaled definitely takes up more time when you actually have to rehearse and learn those songs. But Impaled's a little bit of a lackluster band. If they were at full force with both bands going like at the peak of their game, like going on to
Impale would definitely be more work. It's
Really?
those songs are a lot harder. They're a lot more intricate in terms of what we're writing lyrically, in terms of the artwork. And then with Ghoul, I just feel like those idiots can kind of like just play some dumb mosh riffs and jump around a graveyard. That's
I have
fucking
to
easy.
say,
It's almost like a vacation.
If you were to play music so simple and dumb.
that the first song on Splatter Thrash, the instrumental, and also on Dungeon Bastards, that is fantastic. I mean, that reminds me of like fucking Ride the Lightning. I mean, when there's no vocals, I don't know what it is, but especially on that first song on Splatter Thrash, that song is fucking amazing. I mean, like, is like I don't understand it. Like I don't even remember what the name of the song is, but it's on like 5 of my playlists. It reminds me so much of like Prime Metallica. It's great. I mean, when Ghoul does not sing, I mean, again, obviously very speculative, but why is the music so different when they don't sing? I mean, you know,
I think at least if I were to
if you had anything to say about it,
hypothetically look into like what Ghoul does, just like as an outsider,
Looking at their what the music sounds like, I think
obviously
their
yes.
instrumentals certainly, instead of just being a bunch of thrash riffs, which is what a song is going to be like, thrash riff, banana riff, mosh bridge go in the end. With their
Right.
instrumentals, I think there's a bigger emphasis on what the melody is doing
Yeah.
in terms of kind of invoking a horror feel to it.
and doing something a little creepier again, and with the surf influence
that they clearly have. So I think with the instrumentals, it's not just a song that doesn't have lyrics. It's a song that is trying to sing with the guitar and invoke a feeling.
Yeah, it comes
right.
through. It comes through.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, congrats to them. Is this
An interview with me or an interview with Ghoul? What's going on here?
I'm so sorry. I mean, I normally don't do this sort of thing, so you'll have to forgive me. So
It was just a compare and contrast.
Yeah, sure. That's all we're doing.
So I had a question about Rest in Feces because it's so, I don't know. It almost seemed like there was a story behind it. It was inspired by a horror story, a sewage disaster, cemetery mishap, or what?
That's the one about
The
the
label.
That's the
Ah.
one about the label. And the inspiration on Rest in
Feces was the label was called Necropolis,
and a necropolis is a graveyard,
and this graveyard is going to shit.
So I wrote these lyrics
Out,
and it was very pointed if you read them, and I was like, I don't know if I can
run with these, and I gave them to Sean. I was like, these are the lyrics I got in mind, and he couldn't stop laughing the whole way through reading it. He goes, absolutely, we're doing this. So that was we've been difficult to work with in the past, but we did deliver the record. He did put it out, but after it had been printed, and the president of Necropolis gave us all the praise and said this album's great. At some point, he was sipping on some cocktails
late at night and actually went through the lyrics and read them, and he was not fucking happy.
Yeah.
That was the time he called me on the phone. I think I was at a party with the rest
of the guys in Impaled, and he called and said that he was going to gather up his soccer hooligan friends and come over and beat me up. And where was I? So I gave him the address.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that was the end of that. That was
definitely the end of any kind of like
ideal of a working relationship, which
23 years later, when you still don't have the rights back to your record, you might think I have some regrets, but I don't. It was really fucking funny.
I loved it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we play a game on the show. The game is called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. And here's how it works. I have 5 band names in front of me. One of them is fake. So we're going to try to see if you can guess which one of these is not a real band. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Did
Matt Harvey pass this test?
He did terrible.
Mhm.
Absolutely terrible. Yes.
I'm stunned. The guys usually
So
fucking walking Wikipedia of what's going on in metal.
That should
Okay.
inspire you. Yes.
All right,
So,
good. Well, then
yeah.
I can't do worse than him.
No, I don't think so. So, okay. Necro Weasel, Necro Satyr, Necro. The hell does that say? Necro Vulva, Necro Vulva. Sorry, my handwriting's terrible. Necro Finger and Necro Obscenity.
Dude, my instinct is to say Necro Weasel,
But that's so ridiculous that I think you must have like plumbed the depths of Metal Encyclopedia to find that.
I always do. Yes.
um, was it like a Necro Satyr, like a Satyr, like
SATYR or like a
SATYR. Yeah, that's the second one, right?
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was that or the thing where they or
the
Jewish holiday.
No. Necro Weasel, Necro Satyr, Necro Vulva, Necro Finger, and Necro Obscenity.
The Necro Finger is also so stupid. I want it to be. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the one that makes the most sense is,
let's say Necrovulva.
Black metal from the U.S. And weirdly, Metal Archives.
I myself it was Necro
Yeah.
Finger.
Hold on. You said Necrovulva, right?
I did.
Yeah. So Necrovulva is black metal from the U.S., but Metal Archives does not say where in the U.S., which is really weird. And they have 10 demos. 10. Which is
okay.
That's bizarre. So yeah, Necrovulva's real question mark. Yeah.
So who is the fake?
So that, well, hold on. Let's just keep going. So that leaves Necro Weasel, Necro Satyr, Necro Finger, and Necro Obscenity.
I'm gonna go with Necro Finger next.
Okay, Necro Finger's real. They're black metal from Australia. They only have one EP, but they are real.
I still want Necro Weasel to be real, so I'm gonna go with Necro Obscenity.
Necro Obscenity is death metal from Brazil, where we were just talking about where the real
Christ.
world is. No, the one I made up was Necro Satyr. That's not real.
It's pretty good. It's real now.
I think Necro Satyr would look good on a patch.
Still happy that I knew Necro Weasel must be a real
thing. That he's gonna make up such a
Necro Weasel's thrash from Finland. They have 8 fucking records, and I've never heard of them.
Check out Necro Weasel.
Necro Weasel, yeah. AKA Screeching Weasel. I don't know.
Yeah, Necro Satyr. That
That
was a good one because that's like plausible.
Yeah.
But it's also not very good either.
No, I mean, these are all terrible. I mean, Necrovulva, really? Like, that was, did it take you 5 minutes to come up with that or what? I mean,
Yeah,
there's a nasty story behind that.
But I see that one as just, I went with that one
because I thought that was going to be like the obvious, like, this obviously is
just too easy a pick to get. Like I would expect a band to name themselves Necrovulva. So,
and again, female fronted band, Estrogen Bomb. How great would, I mean, I can't believe there's not a band called Estrogen Bomb, but there's not. That's another one that I got away with. So yeah.
When all the Republicans
they're afraid there's going to be a giant estrogen bomb and they might have feelings.
That's what's going to kill the next candidate. Yeah,
exactly. They're so afraid of the estrogen bomb. Don't worry, the estrogen bomb doesn't want anything to do with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, getting back to you guys. I loved in the Worms Go In all those quick noodly guitar runs. Was that designed to kind of riff like Worm?
That may have been, that may have been my inspiration for the lyrics because I felt
it was a wormy song. I'm gonna go with that. That's true. I'm gonna because that sounds about right. It's just like it kind of was a song like that. The songs, all the songs written without lyrics in mind. So it was more like songs were written first. It was like coming up with the lyrics, and I think I did think that one was kind of wormy, especially like the last riff. It just kind of like it just sounds like squishy and squirmy.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna run out of power. I gotta grab a cord. So give me a second.
When it was funny when we talked to our Carnosis, they're all about worms and everything, and there's. So I said at the beginning of one of their songs, how did they make kind of that squishy, wormy noise? And at first he was like, acted like he wasn't going to tell me. I'm like, oh, that's fine. And then he couldn't hold it in. He's like, it was me stirring macaroni and cheese. I was like,
it's a pretty good one. Yeah, I think I did that with Exhumed on Necrovore's
Decomposing the Inanimate. on the In the Name of Gore record. I think it was like I got some Jello pudding and I went up to a mic and just like chewed Jello pudding, making squishy noises up close. I think I also mutilated a grapefruit on that record and did that. Impaled, we tried to record an actual defecation and it didn't work out. Like we'd all eaten like what we thought would make like a really gross defecating, like tons of burritos and beans, and it all of us got backed up, and that's what happened there. So
You need some split pea soup.
Yeah, we were not able to get a real like fart sound, so we had to have Leon just do it with his hands.
Also, I love that you use operating theater. I mean, the hell with HIPAA. I mean, I love the fact that they used to do that, you know. And then it got to thinking, how come doctors are one of the few professions that practice medicine? I mean, it's like you never see anybody in construction going, "Oh, I practice construction."
Yeah, well, they're just giving themselves a way out to make sure in case they don't get it right the first time, right? I was like, I decided, like, yeah, I used to say I go to practice, and I was like, well, I'm pretty good now, so maybe I just
Go to perfect now. So now I just say rehearse.
Yeah,
Practicing the whole practicing
yeah,
thing.
practicing.
You're not like a practicing bowling alley owner, like it's reserved for certain professions,
Yeah, no, it is a weird thing that they call it a practice. I guess lawyers call it a practice as well. I guess it's if you make a lot of money, you're still just practicing.
Well, although I did hear Gene Simmons one time say, well, I'm not really practicing, but technically I'm Jewish. And I thought, you know what? That kind of fits. I can kind of see that. You've never been practicing. No.
No, Gene Simmons could use some more practice.
He's earned enough. Yeah. He's in that bracket.
You've seen the video of him with was there
Carole King, the bassist from the Wrecking Crew?
No.
Oh yeah, it's a great video. She was an amazing bass player. She's on so many fucking records.
But it's part of the Wrecking Crew in Los Angeles, was just like a group of the studio musicians. And there's footage of her, and she's like in her late 70s, and she's trying to show Gene Simmons some lick, and he can't get it. And she's just like, the eye roll on her face is just
I'm gonna Google that as soon as we get done this interview, because that sounds great. Yeah.
I might be getting the name wrong on that.
Anyways, look up Wrecking Crew bassist.
I think I have the name wrong.
I'll look it up.
Gene Simmons, yeah.
Gene Simmons, yeah.
So what do you think is the most absurd real life medical term or phrase that you've managed to sneak into a lyric?
What is a real one? Dementia Rex has quite a bit of the really hard words to say on it. I was getting bitched at the entire time during the vocal session for the shit
I wrote on that record.
Let's see, what was the one? I had something about it's like basically a walking sebaceous gland, and I just meant somebody was overweight. It's like a walking fat guy. And I was like, and it was a song about somebody I didn't like, so I just called them a walking sebaceous gland.
Like you guys in Carcass, I always picture like at one point you get to the point where you're like, is there not a decent fucking Latin tutor anywhere in this country that I can find?
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, it's a dead language, dude. Sorry,
Yeah, there's a certain point where I was like kind of happy to actually just write a little more simply. But it was
I think on the Dementia Rex EP or the split with Hemorrhage, that was where I was like, I got to dial this shit back a bit, man. I can't remember all this shit. This is too much. I was like reading through psychological textbooks and reading theory by Freud and all this shit to try to like write a record about some lunatics killing people. And I'm like, I think I'm putting way too much thought into this. And this shit is impossible to remember.
So
there's lyrics now. I'll sing some lyrics. And if you were to
ask me what it means now, I can remember the lyric, but I don't have a fucking clue what the words mean anymore.
I have to get your physician's desk reference.
Exactly
it's like,
right.
It's like Secure Rose. We made up our own language. It doesn't.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Nurse suction here, please. Hello.
Yeah.
It's like,
So why was Jason the only one to get the doctor monitor? Was it an inside joke, an honorary title, or did he earn it in some way?
I think it was just because the pun worked with
the acronym.
So it was like, yeah, it was
Just like I was like, what are there? There's a RN, there's a MD, there's a DDS, and there's So it was just like kind of just going through it and just trying to come up with like, I mean, just dad jokes, really, just bullshit. Like,
but Jason's pretty good at guitar, so I
I think you can get a doctor out of that.
Yeah, okay.
I love it. So, what advice would you give to a young band just starting out, especially what comes to what you should keep, do it yourself, and how to steer clear of label headache?
Yeah.
label headaches. Don't work with a label if you can help it. That's the first one. If you need to have a clearly laid out plan,
Run it by people. If you're starting to get into actual money, like anything over,
there's a lot of handshake
deals out there,
you should get, some of the easiest deals are just
take care of everything yourself because you can now. Everybody's got a DAW at home.
and you can do a lot of the stuff on your own and just get guaranteed physical product.
From a label. That's basically how we work with Tank Crimes. He doesn't pay
Us in advance,
he gives us an exact number of product that we go sell live, and it works great.
and that way we can
Recoup our costs that way, and it becomes out more equitable, and it's like it's not a continuing process of like endless or how many records do we sell? Are there royalties from that? Like, are you getting the guarantee paid back? It's that kind of shit's a headache. If you are going to work that way, because sometimes you don't have a choice, and Exhumed has a very, very good relationship with Relapse, for example. The first contract was pretty terrible, but they renegotiated in good faith after that contract was done. And we had realistic goals, like what our actual sales, and even though we have a good relationship with that label, we still have our lawyer look over it just in case there's anything we missed, because it's not even like the guys from the label are necessarily putting in some bullshit in there. It could be the lawyers for the label are putting some bullshit in there. And you just want to have like level heads and don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get too thrilled and enthused that you've got this, because there might be a smaller label that is better to work with for you.
you don't have to for the big numbers. And
also, I think I've explained this to so many people, like
a recording in advance is exactly that. It's an
advance. Like
that's recouped by the label. Technically the label doesn't spend a dime. They sell your
product and you pay
all that back. So don't forget,
anything you get in advance of the actual record,
you're going to pay for that.
So spend that money wisely. That's not just free money from a label. So if you can do the artwork yourself, if you can cut some corners here and there to a degree that you feel is going to keep up to the quality of what you want to present, do it. I think I had a friend who went to like a big major label debut, and like, yeah, it was great. They took us out for drinks. And I was like, no, you took them out for drinks. He's like, what do you mean?
God.
I was like, oh yeah, every drink they bought you, that's A&R.
You're paying for that.
Relations. Yeah, you're paying for that. And a year later, he came back to me and tried to explain it to me that that's how it went. And I was like, yeah, I told you that.
Yeah,
Which was a year ago.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. It's great.
A label can be really good for a band. It can also it
doesn't have to be the only option to
do the traditional route these days. There's a lot of other avenues out there to present your music and your art.
Yeah.
So in March, you guys did the Disemboweled God Fest, which sounds like a lot of fun, and Northwest Terror Massacre. Any highlights or surprises or disasters that stood out from those festivals?
Well, it was I think it was volume 1 of both of those festivals. Maybe it was volume 2 for one of them. I can't remember, but they were both really cool to work. It was really fun. Saw some good bands and had some really good times. I mean, it was just a solid experience all the way around. I can't say that there was any surprises. We played the show, and we had a good time, and there was cool bands on it. And
one of the promoters I'd known for a few years from his other band, and it was great to work with him as a promoter on a show. And yeah, it was it's always fun to get Impaled back together. And we I guess unlike other times, we had a good time. We went to the Pacific Northwest where Leon lives, and so we got to jam in his space as opposed to him jamming in ours. And that was a lot of fun. We had a few days together and got to hang out as a band, like in that capacity up in
his neck of the woods, and we had a
Great time.
Was it hard putting together a set list with like so many fan favorites and so many records? Was it hard to pick what you would play?
We just play the easiest ones. I'm partially joking. There's a couple we got to play.
Yeah, obviously. So, but no, I don't think I think we don't play all that often. So it's like, you know, it's nice to go to that material and we can like change it up here and there. And, you know, it's not like we have 20 records to pick from. Impaled has about 4 records to pick from. So it's not that hard.
Yeah. Or do you see yourself putting any new Impaled music in the coming years? Or?
I like to think so. There's talk. There's stuff. People are doing their own things and other musical projects that you know, I'm heavily involved in Exhumed. We're recording a new record right now. So it's just about if there's the right time and place and it feels good, there would be, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you could pick the perfect festival lineup for Impaled to join, even just for one epic night, who would be on that bill with you? They can be living, dead, reunions, totally allowed.
For me personally, Liebach, the Monkees, and Godflesh.
All right, that's quite a lineup. Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, that's just who I want to watch. So, I mean,
Godflesh with the drum machine. With the drum machine, Godflesh.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think that would be a rather successful festival.
Godflesh.
Yeah, I think so.
Something. Yeah.
Well,
I got my eye on
The pulse of the nation. Yeah.
Okay.
well, maybe at some point we can.
How many Monkees are still alive? My
know.
God. Davy Jones is gone. Didn't Mickey Dolenz die too?
I think no, Peter Tork died though.
Peter Tork died. That's right. So there's
Mickey
two left.
Dolenz and Mike
Nesmith are both still alive, I think.
This is exactly how I thought this interview would end, with us discussing the surviving members of the Monkees, obviously.
I mean, you know, like, wait, okay, now you're just gonna
Make
Oh,
me
here
do
we
it.
go.
Yep.
Sorry, there's the music from.
I do have it.
I know you got it. What's the one Capricorn? That's the one I love.
Well, I could definitely use more. Here's a couple Monkees records.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the two. Yeah. Instant Replay and The Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees.
Okay.
I really want Head on vinyl. That's a great fucking record. Even if
Yeah,
the
that's a
movie's
good one.
terrible.
What's the one? What's it like? It's like Genesis, Capricorn, and Nesmith. The one that's got the door into summer on it. Oh,
Yes,
fuck.
it's a
Great fucking record.
It's
So
I can't think of the name, but I'm getting the name wrong. But it's
Pisces. It's like Pisces, Aquarius.
Pisces, Aquarius, and Nesmith.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
all right. This interview is perfect now that we
All right, perfect.
nailed that.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.